Hello students, today we are discussing the basic watercolor process and how it is accomplished in the studio. We will paint a West Virginia road or path from a photograph. So pick a photograph of a path you like and follow along with my fellow student and I as we demonstrate this task together. Let's begin by gathering our supplies. We need basic watercolor paint tubes, a mixing palette, brushes, water, 90-pound cold press sheet of watercolor paper, a watercolor board, atomizer bottle, masking fluid, and any other special tools so that you may experiment. The most important brushes are a good mop brush that holds a great deal of water, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch flat brush, a number 5 sable round, a number 7 or number 8 round, a fan brush, a 1/4 inch angle or oval brush, and a liner or script brush. Tape the watercolor paper plus a piece of scrap paper to the watercolor board. Make sure that when you tape the watercolor paper down to the board that you tape evenly so that the matter or framer has a square picture to work with. Make sure that the tape is secure because the tape will be getting wet. You are now ready to begin to paint. Start by soaking your mop brush in the tub and wetting the bottom 1/3 of the paper with a mop brush by dragging it back and forth from the horizon until you reach the bottom. Hint: do not leave your brushes in the water for long periods. This will ruin them. Make sure that you always take your brushes out of your tub and lay them flat to dry. Now that you've let your paper soak for a few seconds, spray your palette with the atomizer bottle and wet the 3/4 inch flat brush by sopping it into a tub of water. Pull out some of your blue paint from its well into the pool of fresh water, gently mixing it together. Brush the paint onto the wet surface horizontally, pulling the paint from the center to the bottom as you go. Now take a Kleenex tissue and sop out some of the painted surface to form white clouds. Remember, you must reserve some of the white paper to attain white or highlights in your painting. Okay, let's turn it upside down and give it ample time to dry. Repeat this whole process to paint in your foreground. Just change your paint to green. The watercolor paper must be totally dry in order to apply the next layer. Glazing begins at this point. Glazing is the process of laying watercolor over watercolor to acquire different colors or shadows. Begin to experiment with color mixing. Pull out colors into the center of your palette and add water as you see fit. Use your scrap piece of paper that you tape down to the board to experiment with different paint techniques and special tools that you may be trying out for the first time. After your second layer has totally dried, add details using your number 5 sable, oval, angle, and script liner brush. As you can see here, the student has used his scrap piece of paper to try out his script liner brush before applying it to the painting. Details may get tedious at times, but do not put your hands on your paper. Oil and water do not mix. Carefully plan your painting by starting with light washes. You may gradually build up to a darker color. Here the student adds detail to the foreground with a fan brush. He does this successfully by using what we call the dry brush technique. There is very little water and more paint in the brush. Once you finish the final details in your painting, carefully remove the masking tape by pulling parallel and away from the painted surface so that you don't rip your paper. Make sure you wash your brushes very gently by applying a little soap to the palm of your hand and brush back and forth, turning the brush as you do so. Do not scrub. Your fibers will fray. Once the brushes are rinsed, pat the brushes with a clean Kleenex tissue. Lay them flat to dry.